Well, this is my God thought. How amazing is our God? Last week, Lynn and I were at Keswick Convention, Christian Convention, and on the Thursday evening after the celebration, there was to be a call for mission. And I was asked if I would be part of the prayer team to receive anybody that came forward. Well, at the end of that celebration, with thousands in the tent, there were a number of people that came forward. The first young man that I met was a person that was going off to university. He just wanted to commit his life and be passionate about the Lord when he went. So being given the instruction that we were not to embrace or lay hands on, but just to pray with the individual, that is what I did, even though I wanted to put my arm around him. Having said that, at the end of the prayer, he opened his arms wide and said, "Can I give you a hug?" And we stood there and embraced and prayed a little further. Immediately following that, I was asked if I'd go and see a young couple that had come forward. And the man explained he was a head teacher in a particular school, and his wife was with him, and he was now studying one day a week at one of the Bible colleges and was considering seriously the mission, a call to pastoral work and ministry. And he was convinced that's what God was calling and just wanted to reaffirm that and for us to pray with him, which I did. At the end of that, I happened to ask him and say, "Where do you live?" And he said, "Oh, I live in Luton," which is not far from where Lynn and I used to live for 23 years. I said, "Oh, what church do you go to?" "I go to the community church," he said. I said, "Oh, is that the one in Dunstable?" He said, "Oh, yes, yes." So I asked him the question, "Where do you teach?" And he said, "Oh, I teach in Linslade." I said, "Oh my goodness, I lived in Leighton and Linslade for 23 years and went to church in that town." He said, "Oh, do you know Phil Hill, who was the pastor of the church?" I said, "Of course I do, yes." Phil was a former pastor, and Lynn actually worked for him for 10 years. And he then said, "Oh, do you know Phil and Esther?" And the story just goes on that everybody he knew, we knew, and it was almost like we were renewing an acquaintance and felt very much as if Christ was in the moment and we were a family. Led us to more prayer. Anyway, after they departed, I just stood there and thought, out of the thousands that were in that church, how did God place these people in front of me that were almost like my neighbours and my family? It was incredible. And then I stood back and said, why am I amazed? Our God can do anything. So some may call it coincidence, but I call it divine. And I thank God for the opportunity to be able to witness like that. So my prayer today for us all is, yes, be amazed at God, but also don't be amazed at what he does, because he does those things for those that love him. Every blessing.